Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have the new Victoria Beckham Beauty Reflect Highlighter Stick in front of me. I did decide to purchase this after I asked you guys if you wanted to see a review. Enough of you guys wanted to see a review on it, so therefore here it is. I'm going to compare it with my Reflect Highlighter Stick, the original shade in Pearl, but this is going to be the new shade Amber, so let's get started. Like always, I'm going to start with showing you guys the packaging and the ingredient list. It has a net weight of 5 grams. The prices you'll see down below over here, and a 24-month shelf life. It's made in Italy. Pause if you need to with the ingredient list because I am going to speed through it. Then when you open up the packaging, you'll get this beautiful, almost like a lipstick bullet in gold. On top you'll have the logo, and on the bottom you'll see the shade name. You open it up and the Reflect Highlighter Stick is embossed with the VB logo. So this is the shade Amber, which is a golden shade. I swatched it for you guys here, and of course I also have the Reflect Highlighter Stick in Pearl, the original one, which is more of a champagne shade, and you'll see them next to each other as well. I actually think this is going to be a quick video because basically what I want to do is I want to show you guys how I use these type of highlighters, and I'll show comparisons between the two of them, putting one highlighter on one side and the other highlighter on the other side. I think the most important thing about this highlighter, the newer one, is to see how it works on my skin tone, so that you guys, at least the ones that are my shade buddy or have a shade that's lighter or darker than I am, you could kind of gauge if this is something for you. I want to preface this video by saying that I have the Reflect Highlighter Stick in Pearl for a while now, and this type of stick highlight formula is not my favorite type of formula. I mentioned this when I showed you guys the link of the Amber stick, and basically mentioning it's not my favorite type of highlighter because I'm oily combo skin. Therefore, I don't often wear this. It does give a very pretty look, but it can, at the end of the day, kind of look, you know, oily on me because my skin tends to hold a lot of oil. With that said, I was very interested in this colorway, so if anyone wanted to see a review, that's how I kind of came to be, that I have this review. So keep that in mind when I am going to review this, that typically I like a powder highlight if I go for a highlight. With that said, let's zoom you guys in, and let's first do the original Reflect Highlight Stick in Pearl on this side, and then I'll do Amber on the other side. This seems to be zoomed in enough. Now typically what I like to do with the Reflect Highlighter Stick, you don't have to do it this way, you can go directly from the bullet, but I like to take the palm of my hand and warm up the Reflect Highlighter Stick a little bit. This way it gets a little bit more creamier and easier to use. It's like almost like a gel-like consistency if you do that. Then I take a little bit and put it on the high points of my face. And I like to kind of go in a half circle with my brow bone. I think that's the nicest way to do it with this type of formula. Now I tend to be oily around my T-zone area, like my cheek area tends to be oily, so I'm keeping it kind of outside here. And I can see why people like this formula. People have commented and saying that they find that this has too much glitter reflect in it, like too much mica. I personally don't think so. I think it looks quite, it has impact, but it does look quite natural, especially when you just look at it from the front. It's not like you're gonna see like a beaming highlight. Mica is on the list, on the ingredient list over here. It's at the bottom of the ingredient list, so it is going to contain some mica, but typically it's just a very waxy formula, and it gives you a very natural look. Now you don't have to put some in the palm of your hand, then apply it to the cheeks. You can also apply it to the cheeks with like your fingers or with a brush. But you can also take a little bit from the bullet itself and then rub it out with your finger or a brush. So this is, you know, very intuitive. Like it's a very easy formula to get to know. For beginners in makeup, this is a very nice formula. For minimalists that like a very minimalist makeup look, this is a very nice formula. And I would definitely recommend this to drier skin types, maybe maturing skin types. I actually think that this would look very beautiful as a highlight because it gives you kind of like that fresh look. Let me see the website if I'm missing any information that I can give to you today. It's an ultra dimension cream highlighter for impeccable, fresh, glass-like glow, luminous and sheer on all skin tones. This is going to be combination lighting, natural and studio. So it is going to be like, this looks a bit more beaming, of course, in the studio lighting. There's strawberry butter in here, which ensures smooth application, soft focus silica microspheres, which blur pores and soften texture. Look, this whole blurring pores thing, if it's gonna have mica in it, I typically don't think it's gonna blur any of my pores. I think it would just give you a little bit of impact and a very, it's just a very natural highlight. That's just my opinion. Okay, so let's put amber on the other side. Enough talking. Let's put amber on this side. This, I feel, is going to be a bit more pigmented because even on my hand swatches, the pearl one is basically like my skin tone. It's kind of blending in with my skin tone and giving me that glow, whereas the amber one has a bit of pigment to it. So I'm definitely interested to see how this is going to translate on the skin. I want to do the same technique. I'm going to do my other hand, kind of rubbing it in. Exactly the same. It looks exactly the same. So also has that kind of waxy gel-like consistency. And let's put some, hope you guys can see this, on this side of the cheek. Excuse me, there was a hair. First off, it's definitely more golden, 100%. It does leave a little bit of pigment. I don't think it leaves me with a dark cast. I don't know. Let's see in real life. It's definitely a warmer toned finish. I'm gonna go in to see if I can build up the color. It's warm toned, it's more golden. I think for people that like kind of the bronzy look, this might work for you. I think it works kind of as a blush topper or bronzer topper, if you will. It's definitely not giving the same vibes. Let's do the nose a little bit. So on this side, a little bit more built up, but you'll have amber. The sunlit glow from within, dewy. And on this side, you'll have pearl, which is champagne, dewy, natural realness. They're definitely different. They're enough different for me to say you can have both and add on to your collection. I don't necessarily, at least the way I see it on the viewfinder, it doesn't look like it's giving me a dark cast. It looks more like I've put on some type of glowy bronzer, but it's giving the same finish in the end. They're both very dewy. They're definitely different colors. And you can see the pigments, it's darker, not enough for me to get a dark cast on the amber side, but it's also not a full-on highlighter. It's not going to, highlighting typically would be pushing certain features up front, like this side. I feel like this side looks a little bit more like pushed up front, whereas this side is a little bit more muted, a little bit more sculpted. So it's gonna give a different effect, but the finish is the same. So both of them are dewy finishes and quite natural. Because I'm an oily combo girl, when I use this Reflect highlighter, at least in Pearl, I typically go over with it with a finishing powder. And I'll show you guys how this looks. I'm gonna go over it with the Charlotte Tilbury powder, because I like to powder any creams that I have. When I powder over on top of it, you're gonna get a more of a glow from within, a less dewy look, but more glow from within type of look. And that is kind of my preference. So you still see it, and I guess that's thanks to the mica. So if you have one of these Reflect highlighting sticks and you don't like the kind of like mica effects, try putting a powder on top of it, because it does mute the dewiness that this gives, and gives you again a different finish. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. and this is what that looks like. Okay, so final thoughts on this formula. Like I said before, it's not my favorite. I tend to go in, if I go in with a highlighter at all, I like to go in with a very soft powder. I think about the Chanel powders that you can use as a highlighter. It's very soft, it's very easy to use. With that said, I think the Pearl one, every time I wear it, I put powder on top of it. It looks beautiful, it looks very natural. I feel like my skin looks radiant and healthy. I think that the word healthy is what I'm looking for. I was interested in the shade Amber because it's just fun to see a different shade from the range, and I think it's beautiful. I was afraid it'd be too dark for my skin tone. I'm light medium skin tone. I can go up to a medium. I don't feel like it gave me a dark cast. Like when I'm looking up front, I feel like it accentuated my cheekbone like a blush would, but not like it actually like darkened this area. Typically when a highlighter gives me a dark cast, you definitely see it when I'm looking up front. You actually see like, it almost looks like a shadow over here. It just looks wrong. And I don't think that this highlighter looks wrong. It has the same finish. So if you're liking this finish, typically from the Reflect highlighter stick, you're gonna like this finish as well. So it's gonna be preference in color for you guys. If you like the sun-kissed look, you're into the brown tones, you're into kind of the golden flush, I think this is something you can incorporate beautifully in your makeup routine, in your collection. And they're different enough for me to say, if you like this formula, you can have both and still have different purposes for them. I actually think that they do look very pretty. There is mica in this, guys. So if you're not into mica at all, if you're like, I don't like anything glittery, this is not for you, and something else can be for you. If you're interested in seeing my thoughts on how I feel about the lit up highlight stick from Westman Atelier, I do have a video where I compare like the 3 highlight sticks from Charlotte Tilbury, Victoria Beckham Beauty, and Westman Atelier in this video. So click on this video if you want to hear my thoughts on the difference in these. Okay, so I think I got everything out of the way. I hope this is going to be a very simple video for you guys, and you guys enjoyed it. Please press a like if you did enjoy it. I'm going to put my affiliates down below if you do want to shop one of these Reflect highlighter sticks. Check out my Victoria Beckham Beauty playlist if you want to just browse around Victoria Beckham Beauty. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching all the way till the end of this video. Subscribe to my channel if you are a Victoria Beckham Beauty lover, because I am, so we can nerd out in the comment section down below about this brand. And of course, have a beautiful, happy, and healthy day. See you guys. Bye.